The first character who stands out is Madeline, the quiet teenager who seems to hear the town even when no one else can. From the start, her presence feels different, not because she's brave or strong, but because she listens. While others drown out the strange noises with laughter or music, she stops and tilts her head toward them. The whispers follow her like a melody only she can hear. Episode 3 shows her sketching what she dreams. Swirling lines that look like storm drains, red balloons, and something with too many teeth. She doesn't know why she draws them, and that's the tragedy. Derry's memory has found its way into her imagination. She is becoming the storyteller of the town's curse without realizing it. Then there's Eddie, her childhood friend, the skeptic who masks his fear with sarcasm. Eddie doesn't believe in curses, monsters, or fate until he starts to see reflections move behind him. His character is the embodiment of denial. He laughs too loudly, walks too quickly, and pretends not to notice when the air turns cold. But episode 3 cracks his armor. When he visits his grandmother's house, she tells him a story about the laughing man in the drains. Eddie rolls his eyes, but later that night, he hears laughter coming from his sink. It's not a jump scare, it's slow, cruel, and mocking. Watching him realize that fear doesn't care whether you believe in it or not is one of the episode's most powerful moments. Mr. Keene, the local store owner, represents the adults of Derry, the ones who know and stay silent. He's polite, helpful, even kind, but there's something off in the way he avoids questions. His smile feels mechanical, like a mask worn for decades. In one chilling scene, Madeline asks him about the disappearances, and he simply says, "Some stories shouldn't be remembered." The lights flicker as he speaks. That line lingers long after, because it reveals how the town keeps its cycle alive. The adults are not victims, they're accomplices through silence. Keene isn't evil by choice, he's part of a system built on forgetting. His calmness becomes more disturbing than any scream. One of the most heartbreaking characters in episode 3 is Liam, a young boy who seems to sense things before they happen. He mentions seeing a man in the dark long before others hear anything. The tragedy is that no one believes him. His mother scolds him for making up stories, echoing the same pattern of disbelief that doomed generations before. Liam represents innocence in decay, a child aware of the horror but powerless to stop it. There's a small scene where he holds a red balloon and says softly, "He's awake again." The camera stays on his face just long enough for us to realize he doesn't mean the balloon, he means it. Each character in this episode carries a fragment of Derry's curse, like shards of a broken mirror reflecting different faces of fear. Madeline feels it through dreams, Eddie through denial, Keene through guilt, and Liam through intuition. Together, they form the emotional backbone of episode 3. 4 people living different versions of the same nightmare. What makes it powerful is that the show doesn't present them as heroes or victims. They're just people trying to survive a town that eats its own history. The writers use small gestures to deepen their characterization. A trembling hand, a glance that lingers too long, a child's humming that sounds slightly out of tune. Every behavior feels loaded with hidden meaning. When Madeline draws circles over and over, it's not just nervous energy, it's the subconscious echo of Pennywise's spiral lair. When Eddie keeps washing his hands, it's not about hygiene, it's an attempt to scrub off the guilt he doesn't understand. Derry infects behavior before it ever shows as blood or screams. One scene ties it all together. The 4 characters walking through the fairgrounds at dusk. The music fades, and only the sound of the wind remains. Balloons from a forgotten celebration drift across the empty stalls. They don't speak, but their eyes say everything. They feel watched. It's not the kind of fear that comes from being chased. It's the deeper fear, the sense that they're part of something ancient, something that's been waiting for them long before they were born. What makes these characters so compelling is that they mirror us. Everyone has a bit of Madeline's curiosity, Eddie's disbelief, Keene's guilt, or Liam's innocence. Welcome to Derry uses them as mirrors to show how fear grows inside people who refuse to confront it. They are not fighting a clown, they are fighting the human instinct to forget. The more they try to bury the truth, the louder it whispers back. By the end of episode 3, you realize that none of these people are safe, not because Pennywise is coming for them, but because Derry already has. The town owns their fears, their dreams, and even their memories. The monster isn't just in the sewer, it's inside them. And when they finally start to see that, it may already be too late. Episode 3 of Welcome to Derry is more than just a continuation of the story. It's a treasure chest for sharp-eyed fans. Every frame feels designed to whisper secrets, reward attention, and remind us that nothing in Derry ever happens by accident. What makes this episode special isn't just its scares, it's the way it hides truth in plain sight, turning ordinary moments into chilling puzzles. Once you start noticing the details, you realize episode 3 isn't showing you a story, it's daring you to uncover one. The most obvious Easter egg, and yet the most haunting, appears in the library scene. On the surface, it's just an old book of Derry's history, but look closer and you'll see something strange. When the camera pans across the pages, the photos flicker ever so slightly. One frame shows smiling townsfolk, the next their faces blurred, replaced by faint outlines of balloon strings. If you pause at the right moment, you can even spot the faint shadow of a clown's glove near the corner of the photo. It's a direct nod to a chapter 2, where Pennywise's presence lingers in historical photos like a parasite on time itself. But here, it's more than a cameo, it's proof that the evil in Derry doesn't just haunt people, it rewrites history. Then there's the fairground scene. A sequence that feels innocent until you notice the small, unsettling details hidden throughout. Behind one of the rides, a sign reads "Come back soon," the same slogan from the old carnival poster in IT 2017. The design, even the font, matches perfectly. Another blink and dome sit moment. One of the balloons tied to a booth has the number 27 scribbled on it, a subtle reference to Pennywise's cycle of feeding every 27 years. The show never points it out, but the moment you see it, your stomach drops. It's the timeline resurfacing, like the town marking time until the next wave of terror. A recurring motif in episode 3 is water. Puddles, drains, leaking pipes, they're everywhere. But one shot stands out, a puddle rippling even though no one steps in it. When it stills, a face flashes across the surface, but not Pennywise's. It's Georgie's yellow raincoat. That single second feels like a punch to the chest for anyone who remembers the original film. The implication is cruelly brilliant. Derry doesn't just remember its victims, it replays them like echoes. The past doesn't rest here, it ripples through time, trying to reach whoever looks long enough to notice. The fireflies, first seen as symbols in earlier scenes, become more important than they appear. In episode 3, one lands on a photograph of Derry's founding ceremony, and for a second, the flame of its glow reveals a word scratched into the wood beneath. He sleeps. This small phrase connects to an earlier shot in episode 2 where graffiti on a wall read "He wakes." The two together form a chilling message. Derry is a living organism, cycling through periods of slumber and hunger. These glowing insects might not be natural at all. They could be fragments of the entity's consciousness, scattered around the town like watchers, marking where evil stirs next. For fans of Stephen King's larger universe, there's another exciting link. In the background of the classroom scene, you can spot a poster for the Overlook Hotel Winter Essay Contest. That's not random, it's a direct nod to The Shining. King's works are connected by what he calls the multiverse of terror, and Derry is one of its beating hearts. The fact that the Overlook name exists here hints that Welcome to Derry might eventually tie into King's larger world, perhaps even explaining how the evil that fuels Pennywise might also touch the horrors at the Overlook or Castle Rock. Even the music hides clues. During one of the quieter moments, a faint children's tune plays on a radio. The melody is distorted but recognizable. It's Oranges and Lemons, the same nursery rhyme used in Chapter 1 when Pennywise lured Georgie. The sound is slowed down, warped into something almost unrecognizable. It's as if the town itself is humming an old memory. This subtle reuse of sound is what makes episode 3 feel like a ghost story told through echoes. The same notes, the same faces, but distorted by time. Another hidden gem is the newspaper clipping one character glances at for barely half a second. The headline reads, "Local Man Missing Again." The article's author, B. Marsh. Fans of the original IT will recognize that name, Beverly Marsh, one of the original Losers Club members. The choice of initials can't be coincidence. It could suggest that someone connected to the old events is still alive and investigating quietly. Maybe the trauma of Derry never truly left her, and she's still trying to uncover what the town keeps burying. And if you freeze frame the last shot of the episode, there's one final reward for observant fans. As the camera zooms slowly into the dark tunnel, something is very wrong in Derry. The town looks peaceful on the surface, kids laughing, families smiling, streets glowing in soft yellow light, but underneath, something ancient is stirring again. In episode 3, we finally start to see the cracks forming in that fake smile the town wears. Whispers in the drains, flickering lights, faces reflected where no one stands, all clues that Derry's evil isn't gone. It's watching, it's waiting, and it's hungry. Episode 3 of Welcome to Derry opens quietly, almost too quietly, like the town is holding its breath. The story picks up right after the strange disappearance at the end of episode 2. The streets are washed in morning fog, and you can feel that something heavy lingers in the air. People act normal, but you can see in their eyes they're pretending. There's fear under their smiles. The opening scenes show how Derry's curse doesn't just appear in monsters, it grows in silence, in secrets, in the way people look away when bad things happen. As the episode moves forward, we see the young group of friends struggling to understand what's happening around them. They've started noticing patterns, missing pets, strange symbols drawn on walls, and a voice that keeps calling their names when they're alone. Each scene is slower than you expect, building tension not through jump scares, but through quiet dread. The show's pacing feels like the slow tightening of a rope, calm at first, but you know something terrible is about to happen. This episode gives us more glimpses into the town's strange behavior. The adults seem almost hypnotized, like they're trying to forget something. A teacher warns the kids not to talk about the disappearances, saying, "Derry has always had its stories." As if that explains everything. But her shaking hands and nervous eyes say otherwise. The way the camera lingers on small things, a dripping faucet, a shadow moving behind a curtain, a red balloon floating into frame, keeps reminding us that Derry itself is alive. The horror isn't just in Pennywise, it's in the town's bones. One of the episode's strongest moments is the conversation between the two main kids. Maybe the new losers of this generation. They sit near the storm drain where the last child vanished. One of them whispers, "Do you think it's back?" And the other just looks away. That pause, that silence is the scariest part, because deep down, they both already know the answer. It's not a question of if it's back, it's how long until it comes for them. The cinematography this time leans heavily on shadows and reflections. Every window, mirror, or puddle hides something almost familiar. A distorted smile, a shape just out of focus. It feels like the show is playing a game with the audience, daring us to look closer, knowing we'll regret it when we do. The sound design is equally haunting. Faint laughter echoing under dialogue. Low rumbles that sound like breathing from somewhere below. It's these subtle touches that make episode 3 stand out from the rest so far. Midway through the episode, we're given a chilling scene at the old Derry library. A character finds a book of local history with photos that seem to change each time the page is turned. In one picture, a clown's face appears faintly behind a group of smiling townsfolk. The more you look, the more wrong the image feels. This moment isn't just a scare, it's a reminder that the past in Derry never stays buried. Every laugh, every memory, every balloon has a shadow tied to it. As the episode nears its end, tension builds to a quiet horror. One of the kids follows a sound into the sewer tunnels. You know what's coming, but the show makes you wait. The flashlight flickers, water drips, a giggle echoes softly, and then darkness. No scream, just silence. The episode ends not with a jump, but with a heartbeat, slow, steady, and terrifying. Episode 3 doesn't rely on gore or cheap scares. Instead, it's about dread. That slow realization that evil doesn't need to be seen to be felt. This is the calm before the scream, the part of the story where everyone still believes they're safe, but the audience knows better. Derry remembers, and what it remembers, it never lets go of. There's something hauntingly beautiful about how Welcome to Derry treats fear not as a monster that jumps from the shadows, but as something that breathes beside you, invisible, yet always present. Episode 3 dives deeper into this idea, showing that Derry itself isn't just a setting, it's a living memory. Every street, every light, every whispering pipe remembers what's been done there. This episode isn't about what happens, it's about what's been forgotten. And that's the true horror. Throughout episode 3, the theme of memory versus denial takes center stage. The people of Derry act like nothing is wrong, even as their world starts to decay around them. Their smiles are too wide, their words rehearsed, their silences louder than screams. The show cleverly uses this denial to comment on how communities bury trauma. Derry's curse isn't just Pennywise, it's the town's refusal to face what it's done. The evil thrives on silence. When people pretend nothing happened, it grows stronger. Every frame in this episode seems to carry a secret. The color palette shifts between warm sunlight and deep, sickly yellows, light that should feel safe, but instead makes everything look unnatural, like a fake smile stretched too far. Shadows linger too long, corners move when they shouldn't. The red balloon appears again. But now it's not a warning, it's a reminder, a symbol that some things never die, they only change shape. And then there's the mirrors. Episode 3 uses reflections constantly in puddles, windows, even spoons. Characters see things behind them that vanish when they turn around. One of the most striking moments happens when a character washes their face, looks up, and for a split second sees their reflection still smiling after they've stopped. It's quick, subtle, and horrifying because it says everything. In Derry, even your reflection isn't yours. The town owns you, body and soul. Another powerful theme is inheritance, the idea that fear is passed down like blood. The children in episode 3 are haunted not only by what they see, but by what their parents refuse to speak of. One parent mutters, "You're imagining things," echoing what the previous generation said to the Losers Club decades ago. That repetition, that cycle of disbelief, is the engine that keeps Pennywise's spirit alive. Derry doesn't need to create new victims. It recycles them through ignorance. There's a quiet brilliance in how the writers link Derry's horror to real-world patterns of forgetting. Every town has its dark corners. Every family has stories they won't tell. Every person has something they wish they could erase. Derry just amplifies that truth until it becomes supernatural. The evil here feeds on emotional rot, guilt, fear, shame, all the things people hide behind closed doors. When the camera lingers on dusty family photos, rusted playgrounds, or abandoned storefronts, it's showing us how decay isn't just physical, it's emotional, generational, and contagious. Episode 3 also introduces a subtle but chilling symbol: fireflies. At first, they seem harmless glowing dots that flicker through the fog. But as the episode unfolds, they begin appearing near moments of terror, almost guiding characters toward danger. They're beautiful but unnatural, their light pulsing in sync with a faint heartbeat sound. Theories suggest these fireflies might represent souls trapped in Derry's endless cycle of fear, memories refusing to fade, or even fragments of Pennywise's consciousness scattered through the town. Their delicate glow is deceptive, a soft lure toward darkness. One scene that captures the episode's symbolic genius shows a group of kids painting a mural of Derry's founding fathers. As the camera pans closer, faint outlines appear beneath the paint faces of missing people, smeared over but not erased. It's a perfect metaphor. The town keeps repainting its history, pretending the horror never happened. But the truth always bleeds through. Derry's evil isn't in its monsters, it's in its makeup. And then of course, there's the sound, faint laughter, almost childlike, woven under scenes of everyday life. It's never loud, never clear, just enough to make you question whether you heard it at all. This recurring sound symbolizes the persistence of evil. It doesn't scream, it whispers. It lives in your mind, reshaping your thoughts until fear feels normal. By the end of episode 3, the message becomes terrifyingly clear. Derry doesn't need Pennywise to be evil. The town is Pennywise, its streets, its silence, its denial. The clown is just a face that the town wears when it wants to play. The horror here isn't just supernatural, it's psychological. It's what happens when fear becomes part of the architecture, when people choose comfort over truth, and when memories are buried so deep they start to grow teeth. Welcome to Derry is showing us something deeper than a ghost story. It's a story about how evil survives through generations, not by force, but by forgetfulness. Derry remembers everything, even when its people don't. And maybe that's the worst curse of all. If episode 3 of Welcome to Derry teaches us anything, it's that monsters don't always hide in sewers, sometimes they live in people's eyes. This episode shifts the focus from the town's mystery to the people trapped inside it, and the result is haunting. Every character feels like a puzzle piece in Derry's long, cursed history, each of them carrying shadows that seem older than they are. The way the show builds these quiet, broken humans is what gives episode 3 its real power. You don't just watch them, you feel their fear,